Welcome back, it's me, Lou. On today's episode, we're going to review an action figure, and it's this one. Transformers Optimus Prime. It's the heroic leader of the Autobots, and he's a part of Hasbro's new R.E.D line of action figures. R.E.D stands for Robot Enhanced Design. Now, unlike other Transformer toys, this one does not transform at all. Instead, the focus is on making a highly posable action figure that has multiple points of articulation and comes with lots of fun accessories. So let's unbox this toy and get to it. Okay, here we are with another R.E.D action figure, the Robot Enhanced Design. And we're looking at the big red Optimus Prime. As I stated in my previous review of some of the other R.E.D figures, I love the packaging, I love the illustrated artwork, I love how the window frames the figure, and it's cool how you get a separate window for the accessories to really sell you on what you're getting. So this is a cool figure. This is the one, this is from Wave 1. I know that this was kind of met with a lot of mixed reviews, but as I stated earlier, I already have a bias going into this line of action figures. I'm very fond of non-transforming Transformer toys. Like years ago when the Michael Bay movies were hot and they released a line of robot replicas, I was all over that. That was awesome. I love those figures. So we're going to take a look at this. This is Generation 1 Optimus. It's based off of his 1980s cartoon character model. And I'm excited to check this out. So let's take a look at it. All right, so here's the box, the window. There's a really cool illustration of Optimus. I love the red. The window of accessories is, I like this touch a lot. I think this is really neat. I kind of wish more toys kind of took this approach, because it's kind of cool when you display the figure just to get the figure by itself. Because I hate it when you get this giant window and then there's a lot of negative space and they just fill it up with accessory trays and it just doesn't look, for me at least, aesthetically pleasing. I like this deal here. And then you get the extra hands, you get his Energon axe, his blaster, and the Matrix. And on the back, some cool character poses just to give you an idea of what he can do. Now, I'm really curious because I know that Super 7, they're doing their Transformer figures in their Ultimates line, and I think their figure is a 7-inch non-transforming G1 Optimus, or I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's based off more of the Action Master one, but I kind of want to dip my toes into that arena also. But those figures are a little bit more pricier. But for this is a $19 figure. It's competitively priced. If you're into stuff like G.I. Joe Classified, Black Series, or Marvel Legends, this is kind of up your alley if you're into Transformers. So let's open this up. I think what's cool with this line too is I think it gives non-Transformer collectors the opportunity to collect Transformers. Like, if you're into like G.I. Joes in the Marvel Legends and the Star Wars Black Series, but you'd like to have some Transformer toys, but you're not about the traditional Transformer action figures, you know, the vehicles and the normal Transformer toys, this could be your thing, because you have Transformer representation on your shelf and it kind of fits an aesthetic that you're familiar with, the more traditional action figure. This doesn't have the transformation gimmick at all. And so like the other figures we looked at, this one comes with this insert, which is really cool. So it's like a technical drawing / blueprint kind of deal. It gives you the turnarounds of the arms, and it's really cool. It's neat. Oh, it's interesting here too, because over here they actually show you the articulation. Like, here's the peg, the ankle peg, and here's how it fits into the foot. Interesting. Fun stuff, right? And we have Big Red himself right here. We got two different pairs of hands. We have there's a pointy finger, a blaster holding hand, and some hands that look like, I think they're for clasping the Matrix. Energon Axe, the blaster. Excuse me. Now this is something that's common with like these 6-inch figures to begin with, whether it's Marvel Legends or Star Wars Black Series, that when they're placed in the plastic trays, they have a tendency to get warped. So that's the case here. The blaster is like this warped out of the tray. This can be easily resolved. Just, put it in some hot boiling water for a little bit, and it'll soften the plastic up, and you can just reset the plastic so it's how you want it. And let's get Optimus out of here. Alright, so there's like a rubber band in place holding him on. So I don't have any scissors on me, so I should have just got scissors, because I don't want to fumble getting this out. Shoot. I think I have yeah, here we go. I got an X-Acto knife right here. Unfortunately, it's not the right kind of X-Acto knife because this blade swivels around. Oh, crap. Alright, score. Got the proper X-Acto knife. Alright. Let's get Optimus out of his plastic tray and take a look at him. There we go. Alright, right off the bat, let's talk about the plastic quality, because I know that's been the subject of some controversy. Some people aren't keen on this softer plastic, and I don't mind it. I mean, it's like I said in some of the other videos, this plastic, it almost, on the RC figure and on the Cheetor figure, it felt a lot like I was handling a Marvel Legends figure. And this, people like say, oh, the plastic's too gummy, it's too soft. It's durable, right? Makes a nice hard noise. It's there. I like the plastic too because you're not going to get stress marks. You see, it's kind of bendy. The sculpt is nice. It looks like the animation model. Wow, this is a cool figure. If anything, with this kind of plastic, I don't like... Now, these are mass-produced toys. And the plastic, you get the weird kind of swirly effects. And it's not as clean as like a more brittle, harder plastic. Or it's not like a resin, but... So this is a cool figure. Now, I don't have the other figure on hand to like check out the scale, but I know people have been complaining that the scale is an issue also, because these figures don't scale properly with each other. But as I said in a previous video, I don't think that's necessarily the mission with these figures. I think Hasbro just wants to provide decent action figures for people who want a Transformers collection, but they're not about the traditional Transformer toys, if that makes any sense. I think these are more about the people and the fans that just want character representation on their shelves. And, they just want to give them good action figures. And I think the quality is nice. The articulation is there. And how does this chest open? Alright, let's wait. See if I can get his chest open. I'm not sure if you have to dig in here. Okay, there you go. So there's his matrix cavity where he could deposit the Autobot matrix of leadership. Alright, this is me being... I can never figure out which way is right side up for the matrix. So, So if you want to recreate the scene where he dies and passes it off to Ultra Magnus, you could. Or, you know, if you want to light the darkest hour, go at it. Now, could he do the pose? The Matrix pose. Let me see here. I was just checking to see if his hands. All right. Let me get his hands out and see if. It feels like a lot of the same kind of engineering and thought that went into stuff like Marvel Legends is being worked on this line. Because I see a lot of similarities in the peg designs and the way the plastic feels. Now, when I handle, I might be wrong on this, but I know that when I handle Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series, for some reason for me, those two lines feel a little bit different. Even though they're both 6-inch scale, they just feel like completely different beasts. Whereas if I handle a G.I. Joe Classified and a Marvel Legends, they kind of feel similar somewhat, but there's a huge difference in the way the figures are engineered. This guy kind of feels like if you handle a lot of Marvel Legends stuff, it's kind of feels along those lines, kinda. All right, let's get these hands in here. Alright, I'm not sure how far out these doors open. I don't want to open them up too far because I don't want them to break. Not that they're going to break, but... Oh, okay. They actually go out further. So his chest, the doors on his chest cavity go out that much. Maybe even more so, but I don't want to risk it. And it looks like his elbows are only single... Are these single? Yeah, these are only single jointed. So there is enough reach to at least kind of reenact the Matrix pose. It's not perfect. It's gapping a little, I think. I don't want to pull this out the doors further, but I always joke around because whenever I see this pose, like, you know, people, whenever they get their masterpiece Optimuses, or anytime there's an Optimus that could, like, open up his chest cavity and reveal the Matrix, it, for some reason, always reminds me of girls on spring break, where they just flashed, you know, their headlights. So, yeah. This looks cool. I'm liking this figure a lot. Let me take this out. I always think it's very unfortunate that fans don't give these non-transforming figures a chance. I totally get it. You know what? They're called Transformers for a reason. But it's not like they're taking away your normal Transformer toys like they did back in the, what was it, 90s or 80s when they just gave us Action Masters. You know, this is cool. They're still giving you an Optimus, the G1 figure that transforms. I think this is all about just giving people like me options, because I love stuff like this. Anytime they release, now, like, I wasn't into the statues, but I just love having different Optimuses represented on my shelf. I have an entire shelf that's just dedicated to Optimus Prime, and also have one that's just dedicated to Megatron. And you know, I have the G1 on there. I have stuff from like the Henkai, Chug, Thrilling 30, Classics, United, all the different versions of Optimus they've given us, Alternator. And it's just cool. I mean, anytime you get anytime I have an excuse to buy another Optimus Prime figure, I'm all over it. And this is cool. I'm liking it a lot. For me, it fills, I don't want to say a void, but one thing when I started collecting Transformer figures more seriously is that I told one of my buddies, I'm like, The one thing I hate about collecting Transformer figures is that if you're big on displaying them, it's a nightmare because they're not Transformer figures, since they're not uniform in size. Because each one's a little bit different. Some might have a lot of kibble, some might have giant wings, and it's not like collecting Star Wars Black Series or Marvel Legends or wrestling figures where they're all kind of roughly the same shape, they're all kind of roughly the same size. They're very uniform is what I'm trying to say, so it's easier to display them. But Transformer figures, they are a nightmare to display sometimes because you can't fit on as many on a shelf as you want because stuff's bumping into each other. And I like this idea of just having a character on my shelf that represents the Transformers, but it doesn't have to transform. I just want the representation. And it's kind of cool that you actually have these normal looking figures. And in one of my videos I kind of mentioned it. I think Hasbro, to me, I think they're in this for the long haul. Now, I know that these figures have been met with some controversy, especially the first wave, but I think the more they continue on with this, just like the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, fans are just going to get more on board because, I think there'll be quality improvements made along the way. I think this is kind of the early waves are just kind of more so a work in progress. I mean, you saw that with Marvel Legends. Like, if you look at the original Hasbro Marvel Legends compared to the stuff they put out now, it's like the difference is like almost night and day between the articulation, the quality, and the thought that's put into them. I was kind of worried, though. I mean, this still bothers me. It bothers me that they released Optimus and Megatron in Wave 1. I get it. They're the flagship characters of the brand. And, there's going to be those collectors that are like, with that mind thought, like, I'm not going to buy every figure in this line, but I just want an Optimus and a Megatron figure. And that's the same kind of mentality that you see in other toy lines. That's why right now you see so many Skeletors just warming up the pegs and shelves at toy stores, is because I could be wrong on this, but I think there was the thought that, right, for nostalgic reasons, we're going to put out these toys on the shelves, but not everyone's going to want to collect the line. There's going to be a lot of collectors that all they want are just the two figures. They just want the He-Man and they just want the Skeletor. And that's why I think you see so many Skeletors, because they released so many, because there's that thought that you're going to get the collectors who are in it for the long haul, but you also want to satisfy the collectors who just want those one or two figures, and those happen to be the mainstays. So I understand why they did it. I just kind of wish they saved Optimus and Megatron down the road for when the line existed long enough to the point where they know what works in terms of design and engineering, that this could have been a much more... Not that this is a bad figure. This is great. I love this. But, to work the kinks out and get to the point where they could produce a super quality figure that embodies what this R.E.D. line is supposed to be. So right now I kind of feel like, as much as I enjoy it, I think it's a very much work in progress. And you'll see like different improvements made along the way depending on fan feedback and just what works and what doesn't. But this is really cool. Now what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to compare this Optimus with a couple of other ones, just for the fun of it. So this is an Optimus you can currently get on store shelves. Now, forgive me because they've released this dude so many times over, I can't remember which one this is. I don't remember if this is the Walmart exclusive Netflix figure or if this is just the standard. I can't remember if this is Siege or Earthrise. I don't know. Everything just starts blurring together at a certain point. So this is the Optimus you currently buy. This is, I want to say, a leader class, but it was disappointing because the scale of it's Voyager, but it comes with the trailer sitting at, I don't know. And this, I love this figure. People hate it. I love it. This is one of those kind of figures where everyone calls it a shampoo bottle. I want to say this falls under the Titan Heroes label, I believe. And I think this was initially released as a San Diego exclusive, and it might have been a 5-pack. It came with Megatron, Optimus, Soundwave, Starscream, and I think maybe Grimlock. And you can buy these. I'm not sure if they're still available now, but I bought this. This was available at Walmart for a while. This is the bargain kitty toy for when the mom's, walking the kid down the toy aisle and he wants a Transformer figure, but she doesn't want to spend $20. But then there's this like $7, alternative. Like, here's your Optimus Prime. He doesn't transform. This is an action figure, but there's like barely any action. He just twists at the waist and his head and arms move. But I love this. This graced my desk at my office for a little bit because I just fiddle around with it. It's a great desk toy, and it's cool. Now, I've seen people joke around saying, oh, this is just as good as that. Now, I don't know. At that point, you just have nothing but contempt for this line and non-transforming figures. So here we go. Now, this is like a $19 figure. I think this was like $6 or $7, and this is, what, 30 or 40? Minus the trailer. I have the trailer somewhere. I don't know where it's at. So yeah, if you're an Optimus, Mark, this is definitely cool. It's like I said, I just love the fact that they make so many different Transformer toys nowadays. Like I was already out of collecting, I think, by the time Action Masters came out, because I think that's around the time when I got into like Nintendo and video games. But I couldn't imagine being a fan of Transformers and just having so few options. That's all you got was the small little figures, and it came in like a playset or a vehicle. But now you get so many. I mean, you have this, and there's this. I don't know. We're like in a golden era of all these different Transformer figures, and I think it's great. But I think it also works against us because since there's so many options, I guess that gives people, rightfully so, the chance to be more critical of what they're getting, because people are going to invest their money in this. And for people that are very passionate about the hobby, they're either going to be on board or they're not going to be on board. But I find it disappointing that the new line of figures has been kind of polarizing, because I'm all about this celebrating Transformer culture to begin with, and they're giving us more Optimus Prime. That's not a bad thing. And if it's not your cup of tea, cool. Buy this one. And if that's not your cup of tea either, if this doesn't do it for you, there's the third-party route. So they make everything nowadays. But I want this. I said this before in another video. I want this line to endure because there's so many other characters I feel are perfect for this line. Like, I know that Super 7 with their Ultimates line, they're dipping into the comic book pool, and they're doing I believe an IDW version of Tarn. And I love Tarn in the Lost Light comics and More Than Meets the Eye, and I'm excited about that because I think the only other Tarn figure that is officially licensed is from Farai, and that's like what, $500-$400, even more so now that I think it's discontinued. So we have this guy too, Heroes of Cybertron. Now, this was a non-transforming Optimus Prime, and I don't remember anyone saying they didn't like these. You can find these at Walgreens. They're reasonably priced. I think it only has 5 points for articulation. You can swap out parts with other figures. This was like one of the, more recent, not recent because this was probably like 15 years ago, but this was a non-transforming Optimus Prime that I think people liked. And, give this guy some love. And it's like I said before, the non-transforming Transformers, it's not a new concept. Reveltech dabbled in it. Hasbro, they had the robot replicas. Action Masters, they license out some of the third parties to produce actual licensed Optimus Primes. So if you're an Optimus fan, and I know there's some people out there that all they do is strictly collect Optimus, you need this figure. Buy it. And before we shut this video down, there's one figure in my collection that I saw that I'm like, this is perfect for this line of figures. And it's this guy. This isn't actually licensed, so this is a legit figure. It's not made by Hasbro. It's made by Future, Fewture, and it's their EX, I believe, is Goken line. And they made it's a very short-lived line. I think there were only 2 figures in the line. It's just this Alpha Trion, and it's Grimlock. And it's cool because these are die cast. Like the legs are die cast, the thighs are die cast. It's heavy. This is a nice heavy figure. It reminds me of the robot toys that I had in the 80s growing up as a kid. It has some plastic bits on it too. It has this cape. But one reason why I brought this out is because, let me get the cape on. It's like, it scales perfectly with this Optimus. So if you want to like recreate any sort of weird scenes where, you know, Alpha Trion's passing on his knowledge to a young Orion Pax, you know, here you go. It's beautiful. So that's pretty much it. I love the new R.E.D. line of figures. If you're on the fence about them, buy one or two and give them a chance. It's like I said, I really think Hasbro's in it for the long haul. I think as long as Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series endure, I think they see an opportunity to capitalize off making those kind of figures for the Transformer fans. But it's going to be a work in progress, and it's going to be like the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. Like Lightning Collection, when it came out, I think, you know, everyone wanted Tommy, and that was it. And they shelf formed for a while. But as soon as the line took up steam and the collection got bigger and bigger and bigger, people all of a sudden started going back and hunting down the earlier waves. And these, you know, now it's at the point where they have full-on collections of, you know, Power Rangers Lightning figures, and I think it's gonna be the same with this. So if you're interested in this line and you're thinking about it, just dive in, because there's gonna be a point where they're gonna be maybe like 8 waves in, and then you're gonna have to go back and hunt down like 32 figures, and that's gonna be expensive. So this is cool. It's a fun alternative, and if you're just a plain action figure fan that loves stuff like Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe Classified, Star Wars Black Series, this is cool. This is definitely a cool figure. You can have Optimus on your shelf and have a small little Transformers dedicated section. So, yep, that's Optimus Prime. I like him. If I had to give him a numerical rating, I'd probably say about, I don't know, maybe like 7.5 out of 10. Or I wouldn't go as high as an 8, because I think I'm going to save that, because down the road, they will remake this guy and better. I just think for now, we're going to see this guy repainted a couple of times. At some point, it'll be a convention exclusive. You will see a black Nemesis. I guarantee it. There's a big fan base that loves the Nemesis character. They'll repaint this again. He'll be grayed out. It'll be Dying Optimus. And there'll be another convention exclusive where he'll be painted gold, and it'll be like, you know, whatever it was, Golden Lagoon or Golden Armor Optimus. So it's worth the money. Find him, get him now, because you'll regret it later, 2 years from now, when he's going to be like $80. All right, thanks for checking this out, and I'll talk to you later.